Okay, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background information about how to stretch with moving stretch. Moving stretch is a form of resistance stretching that I created because I wanted to make something very accessible for people with a large range of flexibility and mobility from very low to very high. So the key with resistance stretching is in the title, it's resistance, and that means that whenever you move, you're going to move with resistance in your muscles. It might sound counterintuitive because usually you've been taught to stretch, when you stretch, to relax and reach as far as possible. But actually, if you think about it, when you wake up and yawn and stretch, you tense your muscles and you move through that in a strong and powerful stretch that's very satisfying, very similar to the way animals stretch. So this is kind of a return to our instinctive stretching. Also, the benefit of using resistance means that it engages the fascia, which is the dense connective tissue that makes us the shape that we are. So if you want to really affect the body, changing and boosting our posture, performance, health and vitality, actually working with the fascia is a very sensible thing to do. So we're going to move throughout the stretch with resistance, and we want about 70% resistance. So 100% is when you're locked tight like a piece of wood, you can't move at all, and 70% is nice, just a nice range. It's physically possible to speak or smile when you do it, unlike 100%. And it just means that our bodies are engaged and yet relaxed enough to feel safe within the stretch. So it's not really a fight. Also, with moving stretch, the stretch happens actually throughout the movement, not at the end, as you're used to, but from the beginning to the end and then back again. So one rep is starting at the smallest, at the closest end, moving throughout the stretch and then coming back again without holding it at the end, even though you're probably really going to want to because it's what you've been trained to do. So I'd really like you to bear that in mind when you do your stretches, that the stretch happens throughout the movement, not by holding it at the end, even though that's what you're used to. It's really important that you know that you're safe and healthy to stretch, so do check out the contraindications to stretching and make sure that you're fit and healthy. If there's any doubt about that, do check with your doctor, physio or physical therapist. And also don't stretch when you're really, really under the weather, like when you've got flu, just rest. The other aspect of moving stretch is range of motion, which is quite different. So normally when people are trying to become more flexible, they think of that as having a much longer range of motion. So they go to the end and then they stretch beyond that. But we don't really do that at all. All of the stretches are within a comfortable, safe and natural range of motion because that's how we get our body on board with changing, rather than scaring it into tightening up and even making it take a couple of steps back in terms of flexibility. So when you tense your muscles and move through that, you're engaging a lot of different structures in the body, which is great because they're all stretching together at around the same speed. Because of this though, the range of motion is actually naturally quite small compared to with normal stretching. So don't worry if you can't go as far, never push beyond. And if you find that you need to relax your muscles to get a longer range of motion, don't do that. Just stop at the end and then return. This paradoxically leads to better changes in terms of range of motion if that's what's healthy for your body, rather than pushing beyond because your body will tense up. So that's a brief guide to how to stretch with moving stretch. Don't overdo it. Relax, enjoy yourself. Try and commit to a regular program so that you can see real results rather than binge stretching. And I hope you enjoy your stretching.